I don't know if I'm going to use up the whole 10 minutes, but I do like to say that Evangelist Natasha Dallas stayed in touch with me while I was away, just a little bit. And she was calling me because she wanted me to speak a word a couple times before I left, and I didn't get a chance to. This is my first sermon of the year. And so I'm blessed to stand before you all, and I'm excited about 2013. I think I'm just excited as this young man here. And so I have a word for you all today, and it's sort of similar to what he was touching on, but my topic today is going to be to straighten up. Is that all right? Is that okay? That's okay? We got to straighten up. 2013 is the year. We got to straighten up. Come on now. Come on now. So I'm going to be coming from Luke 13. Amen. And while you're getting it, I just want to say that I got a chance to travel the world just a little bit. I got to go to Spain to study abroad, and I'm not boasting myself, but where we're from here in Roxbury and Dorchester and Mattapan and a little bit of the South End, we don't get those opportunities. Amen. And so God had blessed me to go on this mission, and I call it a mission because I had a chance to straighten up just a little bit. And so I just want to share with you guys my word, because he gave it to me while I was in Spain. I don't know why I was preparing for a word, but he told me that I needed to prepare for a word. And I'm excited to share it with you all because it relates to me, and I pray that it relates to you as well. Amen. So we're going to straighten up. I'm coming from Luke 13. Verse 10. If we can stand for the reading of the word, is that all right? Amen. And he was teaching in one of the synagogues. This is Jesus. Jesus was teaching in one of the synagogues on the Sabbath. And behold, there was a woman which had a spirit of infirmity, 18 years, and was bowed together, and could in no wise lift up herself. And when Jesus saw her, he called her to him and said unto her, Woman, thou art loose from thine infirmity. And he laid his hands on her, and immediately she was made straight and glorified God. Amen. You may be seated. Now, if we can just put ourselves in this woman's position, imagine, I'm going to be in character just a little bit, don't mind me, but imagine you walking around every day bent over. I mean, you ain't looking at nothing but the ground. And this woman had a sickness that had her for 18 years. So you walking around like this for 18 long, or one day like this would be, I would feel like it was forever. Okay. And she's walking around like this all day. She sees nothing but the ground. And she can't even look at nobody in their face when she's talking to them. She's looking at their feet and their legs. She's not looking at anything. And imagine one day you being able to see the sun and the clouds by day and the moon and the stars by night, and the next day you can't. You don't even know if they're moving. You don't know if they exist. Imagine constantly staring at the ground. You're completely over. You can't see forward or upward. This woman was bound by Satan. It was a sickness of infirmity, and she had to live this life like this. And I remember actually meeting somebody in this position. He was a bishop. He's no longer with us, but you never know what anybody was going through, what he was going through. He doesn't state what this woman was going through, but literally this man was bent over. He couldn't see anything. All we could see was the top of his head. We couldn't see anything. He struggled just to put on his coat. And this is before I got saved, so I was like, well, he must have did something he shouldn't have been doing, because they said that it was for only 10 years. So he was okay before. He slowly began to bend over. And I can just imagine the pain in his back that both this guy and this woman had to go through repetitively on a daily basis. But what I come to tell you is that don't let the devil bind you with the troubles of this world, strike you with the sickness and diseases, down you with depression and anxiety, make you unhappy, abuse you with the words, embarrass you with your past, hold you from learning, taking what God has given to you. Don't let the devil steal your joy, but straighten up. Is that all right? Yes. Amen. The devil has come to kill, steal, and destroy. And if you let him, he will do that. Amen. I can remember at the age of 10, I got to an accident, and I'm basically closing, but I want to I've never really talked about myself when I preach, but this time I want to explain how bound and how bent over I was. I was at the age of 10. And I can remember it like it was yesterday. It changed my outlook on life. And somehow it changed me in a negative way. And I was climbing the tree with my sister and a cousin of mine. And outside of my house, we have these spike fences. And they're black. And there's thousands of them, I mean, going around the whole entire block. And the tree was right next to the spike fence. And I'm sure you guys know where I'm going with this. I was climbing the tree. And when I was getting ready to exit the tree, I tried to put my foot on the fence. And somehow that didn't happen. And so sometimes we can be misled. Sometimes we can try and do things and it doesn't work out the way we want to because we step ahead of God. I shouldn't have been climbing that tree. Amen. It simply said, do not climb the trees because of this situation. And I was climbing the tree, and when I got ready to exit, my foot slipped. And somehow I got impaled with the fence. I have no idea how it happened. I remember falling. I was in complete shock. I had no idea what was going on. I wasn't even in pain. That's how much shock I was. I was going in and out. And I got ready to remove myself, and I realized I was still stuck to the fence. And I'm like, Lord, I'm thinking to myself, what is going on? Why am I stuck to this fence? And I couldn't see any blood, but I knew that I couldn't move. And when I got ready to move, I realized I wasn't. So I said to my sister, I was like, why don't you go and get Mom and Dad so we can figure this thing out? Because I have no idea what is going on. I'm in a state of shock. And she got to the corner, and she was so scared, she didn't know which way to go. Is that all right? Because sometimes we get to the corner, we just don't know which way to go. I mean, we get into situations we don't want to be in, and we just don't know which way to, because we're not straightened up, we just don't know which way to go. And so I got ready, I managed to get myself off. She was taking too long, and I managed to get myself off. And as I began to walk back to the house, it seemed like the longest walk in the whole entire world. I mean, I began to bend over, and I was holding it happened on my left side, and I'm walking to the house, and I'm crying, but I can't feel anything. I can't breathe because it went through my lung as well. And I can't breathe, and I'm just walking, and as I get to the house, I believe myself, I'm completely bent over. I can't move anywhere. And I began to pray because I was brought up in the church now. I mean, I wasn't doing what I was supposed to be doing, but I began to pray. I began to say, you know, look, what is going on? I'm 10 years old, but I know the words of prayer. I began to talk to the Lord. What is going on? And my father came out the house, and he's looking at me, you know, he's thinking, you know, I just scratched myself, and he's like, oh, what happened? And I began to try to straighten up, but I couldn't. I began to fall to the ground. And he picked me up, and he realized all this blood just started gushing out my side. He didn't know what was going on. And he's looking at me, and he's like, what happened? And I couldn't talk. And my sister was crying, and my cousin was crying. They called the ambulance, and my dad had me on the ground. But what I come to tell you is that, you know, even though you get to a point where you feel like you're not, I thought I was going to die. I thought I wasn't going to make it. And you feel like you're not going to make it. All you got to do is just straighten up just a little bit. Just change your ways and straighten up just a little bit. Just a little bit. We get to the hospital, and I'm out of conscious. I mean, I'm in and out, and I was in the ambulance, and I'm praying, and I'm like, am I gonna die? But the guy never answered me. And sometimes we just don't get answers right when we want them. And so I was just like, you know, if I just would have straightened up a little bit, if I wasn't climbing that tree just a little bit, I would have been okay. But that wasn't the case. And so what I come to tell you is that don't let the enemy bind you. Because sometimes we say it's the enemy and it's just us. Is that all right? Is that all right? Sometimes we say it's the enemy, but it's not. It's just us. All right. So I became, after that whole situation,